Hello, YouTubers and NFL fans everywhere. This is Matt, the NFL Fanatic, giving you my 2017-2018 Wild Card Weekend predictions. Well, I would like to say from the Fanatic, Happy New Year to all people across the world. To all my viewers that have watched my videos all year, Happy New Year. I wish that for everybody to have a very joyous and plentiful new year where all the aspirations that everybody wants to achieve become reality. So, Happy New Year from the Fanatic. I am happy it's a new year. I have a lot of exciting things going on for me in 2018. But I'm also always a little sad at this time of the year because as the new year starts, that means the regular season for football is ending. And for the Fanatic, it was a good way to go out for both my against the spread and straight up picks. So last week against the spread, I had a winning record. I went 9-7, which equals about 56%, and straight up I went 10-6, which equals about 63%. And my regular season finale records for the year are against the spread. I am 124 and 122 and 9, which equals 50.4% against the spread. And straight up, I had one of my best straight up years ever. Last week I went 10-6 straight up. But for overall for the year, I went 172 and 84, which equals 67% of the games. One of my better percentages. I always like to get up to about 67%. I've been at 67% for a couple of years now. So it's very good to have at least 67% of the games right, which is over 2/3, which straight up wise, that's really good, in my opinion. But before I get into my picks, I just want to say to the Lions, the Bears, the Cardinals, the Raiders, the Bengals, possibly the Giants. Good luck finding your new coaches. It was Black Sunday and Monday with Chuck Pagano, Jack Del Rio, John Fox, Bruce Arians retired, Ben McAdoo already got fired, and now you have Marvin Lewis possibly leaving. It was most of those firings were justified, including Jack Del Rio's. I know a lot of people are upset that he got fired after what he did last year. But let's think about it, people. All those people that are angry that Jack Del Rio got fired. Jack Del Rio had only made the playoffs 2 times in the last 9 seasons, and the expectations for the Raiders were very high. They were to at least make the playoffs and win a playoff game. Okay? And even if he didn't do that, let's be honest from a fairly objective situation. Okay, let's throw out the playoff record. Okay? By year one, if you have a losing record, it's a mulligan, in my opinion. Year 2, you have to at least go 500, and he at least did that. Year 3, he would have to have a winning record. To have 2 losing seasons in 3 years, that's not good enough. Even if you take out the expectations, even if you take out the playoffs, that team was not a losing record team. And even if Derek Carr had a back injury and there were some other things going on, but they had Marshawn, they had Amari for most of the year, they had Crabtree, they had Seth Roberts, they had Jared Cook, Cordero Patterson, they had one of the best offensive lines of football. This team, at the very least, should have had a winning record. And the fact that they didn't was justifiable enough for the fire. Good luck with John Gruden. I think he is a better coach than Jack Del Rio. However, I do not believe that he's worth $10 million, and I do not believe he has worth in terms of getting the right to have part ownership of the team in the deal. So, but guys like John Fox, 3 straight losing seasons, a guy like Chuck Pagano, a guy that had gone back-to-back 500 years on a losing record, he deserved to go. And also, it's kind of fun to note that those 3 teams, the Lions, the Raiders, and the Lions, Raiders, and Colts, they have the 3 highest paid quarterbacks, and they all have new coaches. So, different circumstances, but that's kind of an interesting tidbit there. And for everybody else out there, I will tell you, for my short list, the head coaches that are on the hottest seats, in my opinion, if you look at the New York Jets, Todd Bowles is on a hot seat. He has to get to 500. Hugh Jackson's on an incredible hot seat. He needs to at least get 7-8 wins this time around because you can't I am not a process fan, and 1 win in 2 years is absolutely dreadful. It is an absolute disgrace, I think, that he's been able to keep his job after resulting in only 1 win. Ask that to Pat Shurmur, who got 9 wins. Ask that to Eric Mangini, who got 10 wins with the Browns. Ask that to Mike Pettin, who got 10 wins with the Browns. This guy only has 1, and his owner still loves him. And he really does love him because he believes that they're just going through a rough patch. He thinks that there's a genuine relationship. But I digress. You look at Dirk Cutter. He has to get 8 wins. Jay Gruden has to get 9 wins, in my opinion, entering his 5th year. He's on a hot seat. Then the other 2 guys, Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett's always been on a hot seat the last ever since 2013. It's been cool and then hot, then cool and then hot. But he has to get the Cowboys into the playoffs. And the biggest coach, in my opinion, is on the biggest hot seat, maybe a little biased, is Mr. John Harbaugh of the Baltimore Ravens for missing the playoffs for the 3rd straight time. But with this incremental improvement, the next step for the Ravens is to make the playoffs. And with Big Ben Roethlisberger possibly retiring, we have a good chance to make the playoffs. And we should, depending on what the Steelers do. But those are all the coaches I would tell everybody next year. Look out for them on the hot seat. It'll be their turn to go. But it's time now for my picks and thoughts on each game. So, on Saturday, when the 5-seeded Tennessee Titans go to the 4-seed Kansas City Chiefs, the Kansas City Chiefs are 9-point favorites in this game. I like Tennessee here +9, but I'll take Kansas City straight up. And then the Sunday night game, when the 6-seeded Atlanta Falcons go to the 3-seeded LA Rams. The LA Rams are 6-point favorites in this game. I like the LA Rams here -6, and the LA Rams straight up. And then on Sunday, when the 6-seeded Buffalo Bills go to the 3-seeded Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars are 9-point favorites in this game. I like Buffalo here +9, but Jacksonville straight up. And finally, for the Sunday night game, for the Sunday afternoon game, when the 5-seeded Carolina Panthers go to the 4-seeded New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints are 6.5-point favorites in this game. I like New Orleans here -6.5, and New Orleans straight up. And before I get into my picks, my Super Bowl pick with the 12 teams that are eligible. Okay, I was wrong about my first pick because I had the Patriots and Seahawks, and the Seahawks did not make the playoffs, so that's still not intact. But now my redo for the postseason, okay, is I'm going to go with the New England Patriots to take on the Minnesota Vikings. That is my Super Bowl 52 pick from the 12 teams that are eligible. New England versus Minnesota. All right, so time for my picks and thoughts on each game. Kansas City over the Titans. This is one of those games where I feel like Kansas City should easily win this game. Like, the Chiefs are a much better team. They've played better over the last 4 weeks. They're 4-0 in their last 4 games. Again, you could argue that definitely for the Chiefs that they had a easier schedule with Oakland, the Chargers, Miami, and Denver. But the Titans really didn't have that hard of a schedule. They played the Cardinals, the Niners, the Jags, and Rams. And they won 1-3. At least the Chiefs went 4-0. You know, I want to congratulate the Chiefs for winning, or for Kareem Hunt winning the rushing title. He's the 3rd rookie running back to win the rushing title, and the first Chiefs running back to win the rushing title since Priest Holmes did it in 2001. So kudos to him. Kudos to the Chiefs for playing that well and getting in. But I just look at this Chiefs-Titans game. The Chiefs have found a good offensive identity. Matt Nagy, the offensive coordinator, appointed by Andy Reid, has done a tremendous job. And I think the Chiefs, they can exploit the Tennessee secondary. The Titans have one of the better run defenses in the league, but thankfully Kareem Hunt can also catch the ball. Because I would try to, if the run stuff, I would just put Kareem Hunt on screens. I put Kareem Hunt, with wheel routes, with choice routes, with Texas routes, because the Titans' pass defense is not good at all. And Alex Smith is not turnover prone like Blake Bortles, because that really was the difference in the game. Blake Bortles, 2 horrible interceptions. Because remember, the Jags only lost by 5 points. But I just look at this Titans-Chiefs game. I just think, again, the Chiefs are the better running back. They have the more experience. They're at home in Arrowhead. They are motivated by this Titan team because last year Ryan Suckup had a massive field goal that got them the win to get them to 8-6 and have a playoff chance. And also, Jake Locker, like one of his first wins was in 2013, the opening weekend, when they beat the Titans 16-10 on the opening weekend. So, this Titan team, they've had a weird history of playing well against Kansas City. And Andy Reid has always been the play caller, but thankfully, with Matt Nagy being there, he seems to be more aggressive, more consistent with the running game, more creative as a play caller. And that, I think, is going to be a huge difference in when the Chiefs can win this game. Do I think the Titans have a chance? Yeah, but that's going to have to be primarily off of Derrick Henry running and catching the ball for about, I would say, at least 130 to 160 scrimmage yards combined, because Corey Davis really hasn't done anything. Eric Decker has been up or down in games. Delaney Walker's their best option, but if they double cover him, Anthony Fasano Mark Supinall, I think that's there we go. They have the better offensive line than the Chiefs do, so I'll give the Titans that to help a better edge, but I think the Chiefs have a better defensive line than the Titans do. And it's just one of those things where I think the Chiefs, look, they've been more consistent, they've been at home, and they have this confidence and momentum the Titans just seemingly don't have. Like, this is a huge game for the Chiefs because I feel like this is Alex Smith's possibly final game as a Kansas City Chief, and Andy Reid would like to try to get the Chiefs as far as they could. And honestly, I don't think anybody wants to see the Titans possibly have to play the Pats or the Steelers because we all know that game would not be very competitive. Shout out to Keith Bailey, no offense, buddy. But I'm taking the Chiefs here. Better quarterback, more experience, better running game. And I just can't trust the Titans against this Chiefs defense, which has played pretty decently, to put up a good enough game to get Henry involved, to control the clock, and win the game off another, last-second field goal or another big kick. So that's why I like Tennessee here +9 at Kansas City straight up. Next game, the Rams over the Falcons. I'm taking the LA Rams here because I just think the Rams are more talented. You can look at the Rams. I will take Todd Gurley over Freeman and Coleman at this point. I will take Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp over Mohamed Sanu and Taylor Gabriel. I will take the Rams and Atlanta offensive lines are about a push. The Atlanta secondary has a little bit of a slight edge over LA's. The front sevens, I'll give the Rams an edge. I will give the Rams an edge in coaching, and I will give the Rams an edge in consistency. The Rams have been a consistent offensive team and a consistent team that when they are playing their starters, they can play incredibly well and consistent. They also have the motivation of Jeff Fisher's final game last year. I know it's a different coach, but if I was Sean McVay, I would totally use that as motivation, saying the last time we came in here, they scored more touchdowns in our building than the Rams had scored in that building that year. So, but again, I know Atlanta's experience, I know Atlanta's quality, but here's the metric that I think everybody should realize. The Atlanta Falcons are 10-0 this year when they put up 20 or more points. When they score under 20 points, they are 0-6. I think this Rams defense, with its talent, with Andy Levitre going on IR for the Falcons, this Rams defense with the front seven and back end combined, even though the back end's a little banged up for the LA Rams, I think the Rams will be able to get under 20 points and cause the Rams to get to their first divisional game since 2003. Would I be surprised if Atlanta won? A little bit, but Atlanta has the experience. Atlanta has the talent. Atlanta has the motivation of the Super Bowl last year, trying to get back there to right the wrong. But at the end of the day, the Rams, they're rested. I think the rest should help them. And they're in an environment saying, we've been able to play our game every single week, so we know we can do this against anybody. The Falcons, you don't know who you're going to get at any given game. If they are on fire, the Rams may be in for a battle. If they're not, the Rams should smoke them. And I just think with the Rams defense, I think they're going to be able to hold the Falcons offense better than other defenses because, again, remember, the Falcons only scored 2 TDs. They had to get 3 turnovers by Cannon and Matt Bryant to kick a huge 56-yard field goal. So, to me, the LA Rams are the more younger team. They're the hungrier team. They have the home field advantage. And I just think Atlanta, congrats for getting here. Dan Quinn's still safe. He's had an incredible run as the Falcons head coach. And going 10-6 after your other NFC South team, the Panthers, 2 years ago went 6-10. That's a good turnaround. But I just think, again, the Rams, too talented, a little more rested. I think the rest works. And I think the brilliance of Sean McVay, the coaching, will overcome the experience and give the Rams their first playoff win since 2003. So that's why I like the LA Rams are -6 and the LA Rams straight up. The next game, Jacksonville over Buffalo. This is going to be a hard game to watch. But I'm taking Jacksonville here because Blake Bortles literally, I think, will have to put up 3 to 6 points. I don't trust this Buffalo offense at all. The corners that they have, if LaShawn McCoy doesn't play, that Bills offense is a sitting duck, and Charles Clay and Nick O'Leary can't keep going up the middle and making an impact. And Tyrod won't be able to find chunk plays because I even think the Jaguars' backup corners can do an okay job against Kelvin Benjamin, Zay Jones, and Chris Thompson. Do I think this game can be competitive? Absolutely. If Buffalo gets a couple turnovers or Blake Bortles doesn't play well, Buffalo can, hang around. Because 2 things that Tyrod Taylor has that Blake Bortles doesn't: mobility and better decision making. He is a better decision maker than Blake Bortles is. But I just think, again, the Jags are motivated. They got embarrassed defensively and embarrassed offensively on the road against the Titans. The last time they were at home, they won by 28 points. By 35 points. They're going to feed off that home crowd. This home crowd hasn't had a home playoff game since 2005, which is incredible. Maybe a little bit earlier than that. But I think, again, the Jags are talented. Even though, again, I will bring up my theory one last time. The Titans could win this game because also, again, if you look at the Tennessee Titans, or if you look at the Jaguars season, every numbered week that was even, they did not win or barely won their football games. They only won 2 games on weeks with even numbers this year. Only 2. And you could argue definitely one, it should have been 1, and the other one was on a questionable call, possibly ending with no wins on an even numbered week. But that's why I like Buffalo here +9 and Jacksonville straight up. And finally, New Orleans over the Panthers. This is a game where the Saints have been dominant. They're angry. They just blew a game against the Buccaneers. And I think Cam's had very bad games the Panthers offense had a very bad game against the Saints defense. Both times they played them, they've at least committed 2 to 3 turnovers in each of those games. I think the Saints defense can do it again. And I just don't think Cam's confidence is in there, especially after coming out of a dome stadium and the division rival and losing the way they did, and then playing the Saints, who were basically the same team, division rival in a dome. I think the Saints are better. They're going to be rested. They're going to be motivated. And do I think Carolina has a shot? Sure. Because Carolina, when Cam is on, as good of a roll as he is, he's one of the best players in the NFL and is one of the hardest to stop. I don't think that's going to happen. And I think the Saints pull this victory out fairly easily because the other 2 times they played them, they at least covered 10 points. 6.5 was easy for me to swallow. And since I feel like the Saints are going to play a complete game, they're motivated. They're happy to be in front of their home crowd for the first time since 2011 in a playoff game, and I think they'll get the job done. So that's why I like New Orleans are -6.5 and New Orleans straight up. And that's it. So good luck to all teams, players, coaches, fantasy players in any playoff fantasy games, and fellow prognosticators. And until next week, this is Matthew the Fanatic signing off. And I will be coming to you guys next week with my guys and gals with my divisional round weekend predictions. Until then, so long.